So today we have got a complex set of challenges. These challenges persist both in terms of technology as well as people and processes. On the technology side, security tools have become difficult to manage, often resulting in complex architectures. Posture and configurations drift, while attackers increase the number of sophistication of their attacks. On the human side, volume of data processed is too high, and there's a shortage of cybersecurity talent. And this talent is difficult to recruit, train, and retain, which results in lack of organizational efficiency. So defenders need a new approach. And this approach is Microsoft Copilot for Security. When we announced Copilot for Security last year, we had one vision. That is to help security teams protect their organizations with the speed and scale of AI. With Copilot, security and IT teams can now move faster and focus on high-value tasks. In fact, as you can see on the left, one customer reported that they could complete a task that used to take hours in just 3 minutes. Another area where we are seeing exponential gains in productivity is simplifying the complex. Analysts don't have to write complex scripts. Instead, they can simply ask questions in natural language, and Copilot for Security understands the context and writes the script. This results in time savings and unlocks new skills for junior analysts. Since Copilot for Security uses generative AI to analyze data from many sources, including Microsoft security products and Microsoft threat intelligence, it can help analysts to catch what they would have otherwise missed. Lastly, our customers have witnessed upskilling effects among their security analysts. Tier 1 analysts can now complete more complex tasks than they could before. In addition to upskilling junior talent, Copilot for Security also helps senior security team members to expedite some of the mundane tasks and helps them to focus on strategic rather than tactical work. So what is the security advantage? Our design behind Copilot for Security is not just taking OpenAI and rolling with it. We have the most advanced models available to anyone thanks to our partnership with OpenAI, but we also have an advantage because all of that Microsoft brings to the table. That includes hyperscale infrastructure, security-specific AI orchestration, Microsoft threat intelligence that's informed by 65 trillion daily signals, and specific cyber security skills. So as you can see, it's much more than just large language model, and this is a big advantage for us. Research from Microsoft's Office of the Chief Economist found that security analysts were 22% faster on common security tasks with Copilot. They also achieved these time savings while increasing accuracy by 7%. Plus, 97% of these analysts said they would want to use Copilot again. So teams can improve their work while improving job satisfaction by prioritizing critical tasks instead of being bogged down by mundane parts of their role. In our industry, where 1 in 3 cybersecurity roles goes unfulfilled, empowering security analysts with greater speed and accuracy means stronger defenses against attackers. Now I want to pivot on the various Copilot for Security products. As you can see on the list, there is a whole list of security products. This includes Microsoft Defender XDR, Sentinel, Intune, Entra, Purview, Defender for Cloud, as well as Azure network security products like Azure Firewall and Azure WAF. And you can see that all these products are available in the standalone experience, and most of these products are available also in the embedded experience. So what is the advantage of this integrations? The main advantages is it allows rapid investigations using AI-assisted insights and helps to quickly remediate those incidents. It also provides scaled visibility into the security posture, threats, or compliance gaps. It also helps in faster diagnostics and troubleshooting because you're able to get deep understanding of device, user, access, and app status, as well as WAF policy status. So now that we have talked about the different products, I want to give a quick introduction to standalone as well as the embedded experiences. The standalone experience is the Microsoft Copilot for Security standalone portal. And this is helpful to bring all your use cases into one place. And it includes all the different products, capabilities here in the Copilot standalone portal. And hence you can have enriched cross-product guidance. You will see some demos which will show how the different products from WAF to Defender for Threat Intelligence can work together to help improve a holistic picture of the threat landscape. On the embedded side, this is the native integration with the various products. And this is where the team members are already familiar with. So now that we have an overview of this Copilot for Microsoft Copilot for Security, I want to pivot on the WAF integration with Copilot for Security. But before we go into this, I just want to recap a few key WAF features. The Azure Web Application Firewall or WAF product is an application layer firewall product that protects against web application and API security attacks. Today, they're available in two deployment models. The first one is integration with Azure Front Door, which is also called as a global WAF. And this is the protection that is provided at the network edge. It combines application acceleration, caching, and protection. The second deployment model is the one that is integrated with Azure Application Gateway, or what we also call as a regional WAF. And this WAF provides protection for both public and private websites. As you can see from the picture, the WAF protects various applications in the backend. These applications can live in the Azure regions, or they could be in other clouds like AWS, GCP, and other clouds, or it could even be an on-premise data center. Now let's take a brief look into some of the key features. The WAF on both the front door and regional WAF are pre-configured for OAuth top 10 rules. This is the Open Web Application Security Project rules, which protects against the top web application attacks. We also have Microsoft Threat Intelligence rule, which protects against emerging threats as well as CVE attacks. To protect against malicious bots, we have the bot protection rule set. And this rule set includes malicious bots that are detected by Microsoft Threat Intelligence. To protect against distributed denial of service, we have conditional rate limiting. There's also powerful custom rule set that allows you to author custom rules to protect against various types of attacks. Some examples here are the geo-filtering attacks, which is you can author rules to protect against requests that comes from certain countries, or you can have IP restriction, or you can have HTTP parameter filtering. With this one, you can look at the HTTP request and filter on specific parameters like the cookies or the request URI or other types of parameters. And you also have size restrictions. In addition, WAF has deep integrations with various Microsoft products like Microsoft Sentinel, Defender for Cloud, and Azure Monitor, in addition to others. Finally, there is easy configurations with the Portal, API, PowerShell, CLI, and Terraform capabilities. So now that we saw a recap, now I want to pivot into the Copilot integration for WAF. So what are the main challenges that a network security analyst finds? This Copilot for integration provides capabilities against three challenges. The main challenge that the network security analyst finds is investigations. Today, a lot of analyst time goes into the research and correlating logs that are generated by WAF to understand why WAF blocked certain requests. And they must also risk the rollout when they move the WAF from test environments to production environments. Then they also have some technical challenges because they need to understand KQL query language to author those queries and as well as understand the logs that are generated. Finally, there's information fragmentation. the analysts have to look at various Microsoft sources to clearly understand what is the recommended configurations to remediate attacks. And so now that we see the challenges that a network security analyst face, we will see what are the solutions. So these are the 4 capabilities that Azure WAF integration and Copilot for Security has today. The first one is what we call as a Git top rules triggered capability. This particular WAF skill provides insights into the top WAF rules triggered and due to the various attacks. And this is available for all the types of rule sets, which includes the DRS rule set, the bot manager rule set, and the custom rule set. The second one is SQL injection attack summarization that is present in the WAF logs. The third one is get top logs by IP. Using this capability, we can obtain the top offending IPs in the WAF environment and also able to pivot on related attack vectors. You will be able to see that in the demo as well. Finally, we can have summarization of cross-site scripting attacks in your WAF environment. I also like to inform you that all these 4 capabilities are available for both Azure Front Door WAF as well as Azure Application Gateway WAF in the standalone portal. So all these capabilities today run on Azure Log Analytics. Whenever the WAF generates a block action, logs are generated and those are in Log Analytics. So all these 4 capabilities reason over terabytes of logs that are present in Log Analytics to provide these kind of deep insights to the network analyst. Now let's take a deeper look into some of them. This is the first integration capability. Basically, this is the top rules WAF triggered capability. You can see here from the picture that the analyst asked for the top 3 WAF rules in the last one day. And you can see that the Web Application Firewall plugin was chosen and the top rules triggered skill was invoked. And it generated this response in a very short period of 28 seconds. So it went through all the logs that are present in the last one day, and it came up with the top 3 rules that are provided in the ranked order here. If you look at one of these rules, you can see that the rule ID is provided and which explains what this rule is about. And it also provides related IP address that triggered this particular rule. And in this case, you can see there were 3 IPs that triggered this rule. And you also can obtain details about the logic for how these IPs were detected. For instance, this rule 100100 is a malicious bot rule, and that was triggered quite a bit. And the IPs that are triggered were also given here. And you can also see this rule was triggered due to detection by Microsoft Threat Intelligence. So these are all the holistic picture that you obtain from this particular skill. And this is highly useful for you because you no longer have to develop dashboards to obtain these kind of summarization because the Copilot can do the same in a matter of seconds. Next, let's look at the second Copilot for security skill, which is what we call as a top offending IP skill. In this case, the analyst is asking about top 3 IPs, and they also want to know the response in a table format. And you can see here a ranked list of IPs that were in your WAF, in the analyst WAF environment in the last one day. And it provides a list of IP addresses. And it also provides details about the WAF rules that were triggered by this IP. It also has pattern matches that were because of this particular IP and the detection logic of this IP. And you can also see that it's possible to export this data to an Excel format and collaborate with your stakeholders. And of course, all these IPs are provided in a ranked list format based on the number of times it was triggered. Next, let's take a look at the third one, which is a SQL injection attack skill. In this skill, the analyst asked for SQL injection attack summarization in the last 24 hours. And in the last 24 hours, there were 2 attacks. And here you can see that the resource, the WAF resource that was under attack, as well as the origin of the attacks. In this case, this particular attack was a lib injection attack or the injection probing attack. So you get all these type of details. You can also obtain query parameters that triggered the attack. For this particular attack, it was delete star from sales where 1 equals to 1, which is a classic SQL injection attack parameter that you're able to see here. So this is how you can obtain a holistic picture of the SQL attacks. Similarly, you can obtain this one for cross-site scripting attack as well. Now that let's jump into the actual demo environment and see the same thing. So far, you saw the top 3 skills. Now you can obtain this. This is, as you can see, this is a standalone portal for Security Copilot, and you can issue the prompts here. A few things I want to share here is you need to go into the sources and you have to ensure that the WAF plugin is enabled. And there are a small amount of settings that you need to set up. Basically, it includes setting up the log analytics workspace where the logs are going to be present, the WAF logs are going to be present, so that the skills can reason over those logs. And once you have the settings done, you can issue prompts. In this case, I want to know the top cross-site scripting attack in the last 1 day. And you can see that the Copilot has done an investigation, reasoned over the logs, and provided a brief picture about the insights about this attack. And you can also it has provided the message as well as the detailed data includes the pattern match of this particular cross-site scripting attack. It also shows that the attack was blocked by WAF to prevent such attacks. Now I want to, so far we have seen the top 4 capabilities, but I want to give some more examples on how you can customize your prompts to obtain more details. Now, as I said, the top WAF rules triggered can provide you not only the overview of the top rules, but you can ask specific questions. In this case, I want to know the top 2 custom rules that were triggered. Not all the rules, just custom rules. And it did find there was one custom rule, and it provides details about this particular custom rule and what was the pattern match that was in this rule. And next, I want to know about the top offending IP in my WAF environment. In this case, my regional WAF, but I only want to know the IP that is related to malicious bots. So once I asked that question for this particular malicious bot, it has found one IP 511.188.210.13, and this is the one that is triggered due to threat intelligence. And this is the one that is a malicious bot and is a common characteristic of a malicious bot. It also provides the pattern match that were triggered by this particular bot and the number of times it was hit. Once you have this information, you can continue your investigation in the Microsoft Copilot for Security portal to obtain related attack vectors. So next question I've asked is, what are the threats related to this particular IP address? And here, this is where you can obtain the full benefits of cross-product scenarios, because you can see that the Defender threat intelligence skill was invoked, and it found related threats to this IP that we originally found from the WAF skill. And it can show you that there was the ASIN hosting this IP as well as its SSL certificates. And it also provides, this particular skill also provides link to the MDTI workbench, where the analysts can continue their investigation and provide more details. Now, coming back to Copilot for Security, I also want to know what was the top bot rule that was triggered in my global WAF. We saw the total WAF rules and we saw custom rules. Now I want to look at the bot rules. And it has provided the rule name, the bot manager rule set rule name that triggered the most. And this was the one that triggered by threat intelligence, found by threat intelligence. But this is not sufficient for me. I want more details. Then you can customize a prompt to prompt it to provide more details, in which case I've asked for more details. And in this case, it provides the IP addresses that were triggered as well by this particular bot manager rule set. So this is how you can obtain details based upon your prompts. And as I said before, you can use this IP to investigate in the Microsoft Defender for Threat Intelligence portal to obtain a more holistic picture of this particular IP. Next one I wanted to understand was, remember in 2022, we had a very large attack from Log4j attack in the web application firewall space. And in this case, I want to understand if this Log4j attacks are still prevalent in my environment. So I ask a question around remote code execution. If Global WAF saw a remote code execution in the last 1 day, and in fact it did, and it provides a summary of this particular attack. It provides the pattern match that triggered this Log4j attack as well. And this is how you can obtain details about this Log4j. But if you are interested more about this particular CVE, this was the CVE related Log4j, you can continue your investigation and ask for more information about this particular CVE. And you can obtain details about the particular CVE in more full details. And it provides details about the state actors, nation state actors, and the other threat activity. Lastly, I also want to give an example of how you can use Security Copilot to obtain configuration details. In this case, let's say you have an environment, but you do not have a SQL backend. So in that case, it's not necessary for WAF to have a SQLi rules, and then you want to, in which case you want to create an exclusion for it. So you can ask Copilot for Security to give you instructions on how to configure an exclusion. In this case, when I asked this question, it provides these set of instructions based on MS-Learn documentation guidelines. So that was the end of my demo, and I'll switch back to my presentation to close out. As a recap, we saw how Copilot for Security can help novice analysts to understand KQL queries, as well as obtain specific details about their logs. It helps reduce the analyst fatigue and also helps in the operations by increasing the capabilities result summarization at the speed and scale of AI. So now I can start taking any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Sowmya. There hasn't been many questions, and the few ones that came in, the team already handled. And right now, actually, Shahbaz is replying to a pricing. But maybe you know this off top of your head. If you can share if there's any pricing on this integration with the Copilot and WAF.
Yes. So this one is the Copilot for Security is based on the consumption model. So it's so basically based on the number of times the processing is invoked. The consumption is based on something called as a security compute unit, or SCU for short, and it's $4 per hour per SCU unit. So Microsoft recommends customers to use between 1 to 3 SCU units, and you can always scale up more if you end up needing more. So basically, based on the SCU units, it's the amount of the charge is based on that.
Thank you for that. The next question that just came in, the ask is this limited only to Azure IaaS?
No, this whole integration for WAF is based on the logs that are present in log analytics. So it does not matter whether it's an API attack, application attack, whether any kind of attack that the WAF has detected and has pumped the logs into Azure Log Analytics, the skill will be able to reason over it. So it is not specific to anything, any specific scenario or environment.
Great, thank you. There's a question on the where the Copilot is enabled, and for the audience out there. So this webinar will be recorded and you will have the recording, but Sowmya, if you have the demo up, and perhaps maybe you can just quickly show it where this is enabled for the ones who missed it. Is that okay?
Of course, yeah. So I can share this. If you can go back to this is the Microsoft Security Copilot portal. In the prompt bar, there is this sources section. When you select on it, there's a couple of Microsoft plugins. The second one is called as Azure Web Application Firewall plugin. That needs to be enabled, and there's a bunch of settings that need to be set. Basically, it's the log analytics workspace information as well as a resource group and subscription ID of the log analytics that needs to be configured for both application gateway WAF as well as front door WAF.
Great, thank you for that. And perhaps maybe you can just leave it there just in case we need to go back. So right now we're sharing your demo, just an FYI. Is there any free trial that customers can kind of test it before they make their decision to purchase?
So I wanted to mention that we are going to do a public preview launch at Build on May 21st. That's the coming Tuesday. At that time, you'll be available in public preview. Today, if it's Copilot for Security itself is a GA product. So if you have purchased Copilot for Security, for say, for instance, some other product, you'll be able to get that WAF skill as well. Once you have the product Copilot for Security, you'll have WAF skill integrated with it. But since the private, if somebody has been part of the private preview program as part of the EAP, early access program, this feature will still be available as long as your EAP license is valid.
Great, thank you. And perhaps you may have mentioned this, but there's a question about prerequisites to activate Copilot. Is there any?
Prerequisites to activate Copilot. No, for standalone portal, there is no prerequisites. You just have to do the sign up and you'll get access to the standalone portal. For the and you'll be able to get the Azure WAF in the standalone portal. The only prerequisites is that you've purchased the SCU units, the security compute units, and that you have WAF logs in Log Analytics workspace.
Thank you. Does Copilot support on-premise devices?
So all this analysis happens on Log Analytics. So if the WAF has been configured to protect applications in your on-premise devices, as long as WAF can send those logs to Log Analytics, it is still can do this Copilot for Security summarizations.
Do you know if DDoS protection alerts are included in Copilot Security?
So the WAF has conditional rate limiting. So anything which relates to WAF conditional rate limiting will be provided. But if you're asking for a separate DDoS solution, is it the Azure DDoS solution or the WAF rate limiting that the question is about?
And do we need to purchase Copilot for all users, so for all user on a tenant to use this service? Do you know?
It's no, for Copilot for Security, it's a consumption basis based on the number of GPUs that are consumed. So for instance, for the WAF, I pose this prompt, there are a certain number of GPUs that are consumed for generating this prompt to process the logs and generate this response. So it's basically based on the consumption. It's not tied to the user. It's just consumption units per hour.
Great, thank you. Now I know this is not a log analytics session, but there's a question, can we enable multiple log analytics workspace in Copilot? And if so, how?
Oh yes, the settings will have multiple log analytics workspace for different, for instance, you may have an app gateway log analytics and front door log analytics. So you just have to specify which log analytics workspace it is.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so here's another pricing question, more drill down on the SCU. So for an instance, if I use one SCU for an hour only in a day, do I get charged only for 1 hour or for the entire day?
Oh, it's per hour. SCU is $4 per hour per unit. It depends on how many SCU units are consumed in that hour, per hour.
Got it. Thank you. So the prompts we ask is based on the sources only. Is that correct?
So actually, it's not necessary to have global WAF or regional WAF, but our guidance is for you to have this information, at least WAF, so that the right skill is selected. But by using global WAF and regional WAF, we are able to give further information to the prompt, to the Copilot, to select the right plugin and the right skill and reason over the right log analytics workspace. But it's not necessary, but it is always recommended to give the prompts as much information as possible.
Okay, here's another good one around pricing. All kind of, it seems like folks have thought all kind of scenarios around it, but that's good. It goes like this: can security Copilot be enabled or disabled on demand, as and when required? And the follow-up question to that is: does the billing model charge only during active use of security Copilot?
Yeah. So the first part of the question is you need to, once you have Copilot for Security purchase, you need to have at least one SEU. It's not possible to completely have 0 SEUs. Having said that, even though if you have 1 SEUs, it is get charged by the hour. So if you use for 1 hour, it'll be $4 per hour, and based upon the number of hours it's used, it keeps charging. But that's how it is done. The consumption model goes.
Right. Thanks. Moving on to, well, we started with like no questions. Now that we're being flooded with questions, so that's good. So there's more to come. So the next one is from cost perspective. Is it possible to use ADX for data that was stored for a long period of time compared to log analytics, meaning ADX versus log analytics per se?
Right. So that is not possible today. It's something we will take back. Today, this whole and this integration with for WAF is based on Azure Log Analytics storage only. But we'll take that feedback and to add in the future.
Thank you. Can you mention what other Azure security services can be operated within or with Copilot?
Today we have got Azure Firewall product integration as well in the Copilot for security, and that's also will be available in public preview at build on May 21st. So today it is the 2 products, WAF as well as Firewall.
And to that point, next month on June 12th, we'll have a session for Azure Firewall integration in Microsoft Copilot. So stay tuned on that part. The next question goes, any possibilities for getting the responses across all the Azure services?
So this particular integration is based on the WAF logs. So I mean, I'd like to know what other like Azure service, if that's possible. Can you get that information?
Sure, we'll wait and see if that comes in. The next one goes, how would the SCUs work if there are multiple admins submitting requests? Is there a throttle limit for consuming the SCUs, or do we need to do the capacity planning?
Okay, so that's a very good question for the Copilot team itself, because it's more involved, and I can connect you to the Copilot for Security billing team who can answer that question.
Okay. Does it support multi-latency Lighthouse?
Not the WAF integration does not today.
Okay. Is there any automated ticketing feature if I post a prompt?
Not the standalone experience. The WAF standalone does not, but there are other products that does support ticketing, but not the WAF integration.
Do you know if the Security Copilot supports the creation of rule exclusion based on the header content?
Yeah, so that is the one that I showed you in the end, which is like the where you can get configuration guidance on how to create an exclusion from online resources like MS Learn documents. But that's something automated way of configuring exclusions is something that we can take back to provide in the future. But right now we can just get how to do it configuration guidance.
Good. Can we track or view how much consumption of SUs is executed per response?
Actually, yes. I'll have to connect you back to the billing team, and they can give you an overview of how to do that. But yes, you can find that information.
Can Security Copilot query custom tables in log analytics?
So WAF today has only Azure Diagnostic Logs, Azure Diagnostic Table. So it is basically based on Azure Diagnostics. Yeah, so once WAF moves over to resource-specific logs, then that will be available. But today it's only Azure Diagnostics.
Thank you. From cost perspective, is it possible to use ADX for data that was stored for a long period of time compared to log analytics? Well, I think, didn't we? I think we already raised this one.
Yeah,
Or
we
is this
don't support ADX today.
Yeah. I think it just came back again. Okay. How much time does it take to query all the data so it can start providing you the info?
Oh, it takes it takes a few seconds, but you can say within a minute. For instance, like I can show you this one, top bot rule took about 56 seconds, but on average, it takes about like 25 to 30 seconds. All the steps, like choosing the plugin, doing the, then picking the right skill, completing the summarization and generating the response. In total takes about 30 seconds.
At the tenant level, how do we control who has access to Security Copilot?
Yeah, there is a couple of roles that the Copilot supports, a Copilot owner and Copilot contributor. It also based on the Entra roles. So there is an entire article on that. I can post it right after this. Once I finish, I can put it in the chat. But that article has very clear guidelines on how to set up in fact, I have it here. This whole product link has authentication and the Entra roles that are needed and access capabilities.
Yeah, can you share that link just with us here? And
yeah, I can share it right now. Like I'll just do it right now after this, after the questions are done.
Okay, no problem. Any integration with Sentinel for events and incidents creations and or hunting investigation?
Okay, so that is in our roadmap. We don't have it today yet, but yes, definitely we will try to integrate with Sentinel to create incidents and do the investigation there as well, but that is not available today.
Perfect, thank you. And a few more left here. Based on the scenario that were presented in the demo, can we create KQL queries using Copilot and create proactive alerts?
Yeah, you can ask a Copilot to generate the KQL query for you. There is other skills like generic skills that will provide you the queries. But not the WAF skill today, but it's something that we are working towards. But anyway, like the one thing I wanted to show you is, for instance, if you look at any of these rules, the force capability that we have got today, you can look at the summary here and find out the query that is used. Feel free to use this query in your log analytics and when you're trying to see if there's any issues with Copilot, but the actual KQL query is also presented here.
Thank you. There's another question regarding multi-latency. So it goes like, we are a service provider and would like to use one Copilot for all our clients. Does it support multi-latency like Lighthouse integration?
Right now, the WAF skill does not, but as I showed you in this particular slide deck, these are the products that are integrated today, right? Defender for XDR, Sentinel, Intune, Entra, Purview, Defender for Cloud, and these two Azure products are what are available in the Copilot for Security products in standalone as well as the embedded experience.
Okay, thank you. And the last one is, can we get consumption per user, per analyst? Some analysts will be more expensive than others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is again a billing question. I can connect you to the billing contact who can give you that details.
Okay. And okay, another one came in. So the prompts are directly converted into KQL queries in the back end and gives back the summarized results? Is that
That's
what
right.
it is? Yeah, okay. Well, we have concluded with all the questions, answering all the questions. Thank you, Sowmya, for being our guest today and for sharing great information with our community. Excuse me. Also, I would like to thank our SMEs in the background who are helping us with answering some of the questions and providing resourceful information. So to all the listeners still on the line, if you're someone who wishes to aid in the protection of the world from cyber threats and desires to have a say in shaping our strategies, blueprints, and recommendations, then we invite you to become part of our security community. Together, we can make a global impact. So please join us at aka.ms/security community. Now, this is also where you'll be notified about the upcoming webinars, events, and even changes like we had with this webinar and other announcements. Also, please take a minute submitting your webinar feedback at aka.ms/security webinar feedback. Now, for those of you who may have additional questions on the topic we just covered or other product related questions, such as even the billing ones, please feel free to raise them on our Microsoft Tech Community discussion space. The short link for that is aka.ms/ans community. And all of the short links that I'm verbalizing right now, you can find them at the very top of the conversations that happened when we first opened the call. So thank you all for being part of our community and for joining us on these webinars. We hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you.